Okay, we are about to move on to number 5. Before moving on to number 5, I want to make sure on number 3 you paid attention to the fact that it says make sure X represents the number of rides each person will ride. So this X is next to 50 cents because 50 cents is how much each ride will be. Again, 50 cents per ride means 50 cents X needs to be 50 cents per ride. Now what we did in number 1, we changed these equations so that they used the letters that were in the word problem. We did not do that for this one because the answer choices were X and Y, because it asked us to use X and Y. But if we changed the letters, the first equation would have 50 cents. I'm going to try to scoot this over a little bit. I want to make sure you can still see it. 50 cents times R plus 12. And you would see that it is 50 cents per ride. Now, the Y says, make sure the Y represents the cost per person in dollars. So the cost, we would make Y, we'll change it to C over here. And then plan B would be C equals $1.25 R. And that would have letters changed to match the word problem. This question didn't require us to make XR or YC. It wanted us to use X and Y. So I wanted to make sure I review that before going on to number 5. And let's do that. So move this up. I'm not going to do number 4, I'm sorry. I'm not going to do number 4. Number 5 says, we're doing some graphic design. I love graphic design. Lee charges a fixed fee of $50 plus $25 for each hour. By now, we should see this as a y equals mx plus b form, and our keyword has popped up again, each. I therefore know slope is 25. And it needs to be added to $50. This is Lee. Next, his main competitor, let's give him a name. Let's name him, what about me, Miss Pierce? So name her Pierce. So Miss Pierce, I'm going to charge a fixed fee of $40 plus $30 for each hour. There is the each next to $30. So that's my, what is it? Slope. You got it. Plus $40. Now we change the letters so that it makes sense. We have 30 an hour, 25 an hour, 30 an hour, 25 an hour, 30 an hour. Plus 50 plus 40. Now let's finish reading the question. Miss Pierce, because I'm the competitor, advertises that I advertise that my rates are cheaper. Am I correct? Are my rates cheaper? Explain your reasoning. Well, we haven't done the menu 3-2 in a while, so let's take a calculator Practice that again. I need to take my calculators out of test mode. Menu, my action button, 3, 2. Please feel free to fast forward through this video if you know how to do this. And I am going to replace the X with G or H. And I hope you didn't say G. Remember, G represents Y. This is MX plus B. So let's go ahead and put in H. Remember, you are getting your letters from the very bottom of your calculator. So just so you can see, I'd like to soup this up. I hope that doesn't mess up the screen. Get your letters from down here. So there was my H, there is my G. Okay, let's scoop this back down. And press enter. Type this in just the way you see it. H plus 50. And even though this is multiplication, you don't have to type 25 times H. You can just do 25H. That means the same thing. So G equals 30H plus 40. We have what we need. We've already changed our letters. We didn't erase any commas. We should not get an error. It tells me 2 and then 100. H is the first number, so H is 2. G is the second number, so G is 100. That means for both Mr. Lee, Mr. Lee and myself, we will both have $100 due to ourselves for giving our service to someone once we have both done 2 hours of work. So understand this. Although Mr. Lee has started off with $50 as the fee, and he's charging $25 an hour, and I've started off with $40, and then I'm charging $30 an hour, we will both have the same amount due to us. We're going to charge the same amount, $100, if we both give 2 hours of service. So to answer this question, I want to build a table so that we can look at the other values. The letter G is going to represent the total amount charged for the graphic design. The letter H is going to represent the hours. Again, X, Y. And on tables, we see X and we see Y. So if I plug in 1 hour, 25 times 1 gives me 25. Plus 50 gives me 75. So for 1 hour of service, Lee will charge $75. Plug in a 1 for me. For 1 hour, 30 times 1 is 30. Plus 40 is 70. And this is me, Ms. Pierce. So right now, I am charging less than Lee. So I appear to be cheaper. What happens at 3 hours? For those that would like to see that in the calculator, 25 times 3 plus 50. It gives us 125. Now we do Miss Pierce, 30 times 3 plus 40. Gives us 130 for me. 125 for Lee and 130 for me. Uh-oh. Am I still cheaper than Lee? No, I am not. So the answer to this question is Lee's competitor, me, correct? Am I cheaper? No. This was my reasoning. Lee says, hey, if you give me $50, I'll only charge you $25 an hour. I say, pay me a little less in the beginning and get you to make up for it later on by paying me $30 an hour. But what ends up happening, I will charge you more because my rate is more. His rate is less. Remember, slope, M, is the same thing as rate of change. So when I say the word rate, don't get confused. Rate is slope. This is going up 30 and over 1. Because it's 30 over 1, rise over run. Slope, rate of change. He is going up 25 and over 1. I'm higher. So if in the beginning, he may start off higher than me, but I am going to rise above what he's charging because I am growing a little faster. My rate is changing higher than his.